evening, everybody. Wow, I'm like 9 minutes behind my time, but that's okay. Welcome to Baller Mom feature series. My name is Gifty, founder of Baller Mom. And today I'm going to have another guest with us today that is going to share what we always think of when we are going to games, practices, and raising kids. What do they need to eat? How do we feed them so that their body can continue to be healthy, active, before practice, after practice? So I'm going to have a guest here that's going to share his knowledge. He's an expertise in the field of health and nutrition, enhancement performance, in terms of how athletes can be and make sure that they continue to grow well. So I'm not going to talk too much, as I always try not to. And I'm going to invite Coach Anton to be able to join us today and share his information. So let me invite him. And where is he? So Coach Anton, if you are able to come in and join me, and that would be great. Thank you, everybody that has been patient in waiting. It's crazy because I literally just dropped one off, come back home trying to make it on time, and then I got to a certain stop and I see all these buses switching lanes. I'm like, what's going on here? I have somewhere to go. So I'm appreciative for everybody that's been patient and put the reminder on and decided to wait until I come on today. I'm going to wave up to everybody that's joining me. I won't mention your names, but I know that you guys are always watching, and I appreciate your support and input and feedback as well. So let me invite Coach Anton, and he will join us. Let's see. Fit Coach Anton. And hopefully everybody is having a good return back to school in person, at least for us here in Ontario, that we've been able to see and have the kids in there and learn with the teachers, and not being able to do online, because I'm not a fan of online education anyway. So let's see how that goes. And hopefully there's no more lockdown. Oh my God, I pray not. We shall see. So yes, Coach Anton, if you are on, can you please just let me know, and I'll be able to send you the invite, and we can continue this conversation. I see you there, Jacqueline. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Here we go. Sometimes Instagram doesn't always work the way that I want to, so I appreciate, again, for everybody being patient with me here. Let me see. Try again. And time. And we got it. There we go. I see you now. And then he'll be accepting my invite, and he will be slowly there and joining me. Again, if you have any questions, please do put it in the comment section here. And he'll be able to respond and answer them for you. Good evening, Anton. How are you?
Hi, Gifty. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your patience too as well. I know I messaged you. I was stuck in traffic and I was a little bit behind, and you said no problem. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Of course, not a problem.
Yeah, it's crazy. But how are you other than that?
Fine, the regular Thursday, just working on my own website right now. So,
nice.
Yeah, just productivity.
Nice. It's fun. Always creating. I love building websites. So it's a fun part, trying to get your world out there into the digital world. It's a fun thing to do. So I wish you, when it's ready, please let me know. I'll share it so everybody can go ahead and visit you and get all the information. But some of the information you're going to give it to us today. So somebody says, look at those pearly whites, Coach Anton. So you have a fitness mechanic saying hello to you. So without any further ado, I'd like you to introduce yourself to the audience and people that will be watching or listening later. Who is Coach Anton?
Yeah, absolutely. So Coach Anton is a performance coach, personal trainer, lifestyle coach, all in one. There's a whole bunch of hats on me, pretty much at every point in time and interaction, whether it's with the clients or for myself. I've been in the fitness industry for a little over 8 years now. Worked with a variety of clients. I was a personal trainer and a fitness manager as well. So I was running a team of about 12 trainers at the same time. And again, with that basically comes in troubleshooting process, helping
Mhm.
them help their clients. So I had to expand my knowledge base quite significantly to understand, what are the issues and difficulties and challenges that their clients are facing, so I can direct and give them very specific advice to give them that breakthrough that they were looking for. And that's basically me.
That's just it. Wow, you're so humble. You sum it down in such a simple way. That's great. I mean, with over 8 years of experience, that's a good wealth of knowledge to be able to share with so many different athletes and coaches and trainers across all of, I guess, Ontario's where you service, or you service certain parts of Toronto.
I'm primarily in northern GTA, so like Thornhill, Richmond Hill, Markham, northern North York, and now that again we're in the digital world, I
Mm-hmm.
do have online programs as well. So I do have kind of hands-off programs for people that just want a program that they need to follow, and I have a
Nice.
little bit more interactive programs, but again, they're delivered virtually with all the restrictions and everything
Yes, the
else.
benefit of virtual. Yes. Sometimes it's a hindrance and sometimes it can be beneficial too. So it's good that we've
For
all
sure,
learned to
yeah,
pivot in some ways, or one
yeah.
way or the other. We had no choice. We had to be in lockdown, so we had to pivot for sure.
You said it best, yeah.
Yeah. So with your accolades that you've mentioned, and especially working with athletes, were you yourself an athlete yourself when you were
Yeah,
growing up?
yeah, that's like I was growing up in a military family, so being physical, being active was kind of an expectation.
Okay.
And we moved a lot, so I got in quite a few fights and stuff like that. So, being physical, like, as I said, it was just expected. And then I think my first sport, my parents put me in a karate school. I want to say at the age of 6, maybe just as I turned 7, so like quite early on. And again, it's not karate like here in Canada. It was back home in Ukraine. So like
Okay.
it was hardcore. Like 3 weeks into it, we were doing full splits, or at
Wow.
least being trained for that. So karate, then I did taijutsu, then I was involved in athletics, so 100 meters, 400 meters. I did broad jumping as well,
Wow.
kind of multidisciplinary military sports, so like obstacle,
Like the
courses
mud
and
style of training, I guess.
so that's something that I grew into a little bit later. Obstacle course racing is actually something that is my latest passion.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done about 6 Tough Mudders, Spartan races. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I love my mud.
Wow.
Yeah, and then besides that, I played soccer, both back home and here. I also refereed soccer, handball. What else did I do? Rock climbing, taijutsu. So
Oh my
there's again,
goodness.
there is
So
so
what,
many different.
maybe the question is, what sports have you not done?
What I haven't done, golf or
Okay.
baseball.
Okay.
Those are the two sports that again they weren't that popular. Number one back home, and number two, I find them boring.
Okay. That's understood. Okay. You go where your passion is, right? You seem to be more a
That's right.
person who likes the action and interaction and constantly being challenged in a different way. So that leads me to want to find out from you, especially in the industry that we're in. We're just talking a little bit earlier about the whole digital aspect of it.
Hmm.
How has it impacted you in terms of working with athletes, especially with COVID, where you can't physically even see or touch and do any assessment or do physical training with? I mean, we're in and out of lockdown, but how has COVID impacted you, your ability to be able to provide the service that you do?
Well, realistically, I'm going to be a strong believer that there is nothing better than handshake and a hug and a high five.
Yeah.
That just it's a totally different level of interaction, and it develops a different level of trust between the coach and the athlete, and even like just knowing that you're there and helping with a specific issue as the issue comes up. That's again,
Yeah.
there's absolutely no two ways about this. Now, digital kind of helped in a variety of ways because people that were not active at all, now at least they have some outlet to look up information, and there is
Mm-hmm.
obviously a growth of equipment as well as videos and clubs and so much structure and so much support. So realistically now, like there is not one person that should have an excuse not
Yes.
to work out, not to move.
Yeah.
And that's something that again was really pleasant to see even this past summer, because you go into any park and you see so many people are just walking and exploring
Yeah.
and
I've become
having
a
good.
walker. Yeah.
There you go. And that's again, that's a great positive side of things. But I think it comes from a deeper realization that, we are in health crisis essentially. And
Hmm.
if they had better health, maybe they wouldn't be in as much
That's,
danger,
yeah, you're
right?
right.
So
Yeah. And someone just corrected you that golf is a game, not a sport. And hi, Oliver, I'm mindful parenting to a kid. So point of correction. So you just don't like that game. It's not
that's
the
right.
sport. Okay. Understood. Thank you for the clarification. Sorry. So going back to the whole impact of COVID and all, most people have pivoted into a different way on it. So with that being said, I think one of it I always wondered is we become vegetative. Like we sit a lot, we
Mhm.
don't move. I mean, most people are moving when the weather is good, but taking the snow that we just had and still on the ground, and there's no sidewalks to really do proper walking, you know, the first thing you see is often your fridge. We go there. I think that's the most places I've walked to a lot over the couple of years that we've been home, right? And that
Yeah.
always gets into the mindset, especially with kids that or athletes that we're raising. So from your side of it, like how have you been able in term personally be able to cope with it without thinking too much of the food aspect and still kept your body moving so that whatever else is going on is still moving for you? So when you're talking to your clients, you can say, hey, I know it's hard, but this is what I'm doing. Let's work this together. Like in terms of motivation, how has that worked for you?
Honestly, motivation never been my problem. If I really set my mind to something, I go.
Mm-hmm.
And again, motivation is a very tricky thing to achieve, because you either have it or you don't. And then when it disappears, it's really hard to regain it. So, and again, everybody has different sources of motivation. Sometimes, seeing the scale go down, that's a
Mm-hmm.
motivation for one person, but it's not, motivating at all for another. And maybe another person, like they're looking to achieve, and they have a performance standard, right? They
Yeah.
have, scoring X number of goals, or uh, I don't know, pitching a certain percentage, right? Whatever it
Mm-hmm.
might be. So that could be their motivation. Now, for myself, what I did, I essentially converted the spare bedroom into a workout room. So that's number one. Number two, I have a push-up station right in the middle of my living room. So
Wow.
no matter what I do, I go to the washroom, I go to the kitchen, I go anywhere else, I can, squeeze in a couple of push-ups. If I'm watching a series, so I have to admit, I just binge watched Mandalorian.
Okay.
Played a bit of catch up. So a couple of episodes I was watching while I was circling my
On
family
your
room.
bike. Okay.
No, just walking around. So I
Okay.
was kind
Also,
of
so I'm
watching
just
the
sitting
TV.
still with the popcorn and the candy. You're actually
Yep,
moving it physically as you watch.
yep, yep.
Okay. Good to
And then
know.
again, if I don't want to like do a lot of kind of movement, I can still do a few squats while I'm watching right before I jump in on the couch and sit down. So
Oh,
it's a
goodness.
matter of, again, it's a matter of creating an expectation for yourself. Like, what kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be a
Hmm.
person that is going to sit down and watch that episode, or do you want to give yourself an opportunity to move a little bit? And again, movement can be literally anything. Okay. Can we do yoga?
Hmm.
Yeah, probably we can do yoga. We can do a few stretches. And at the end of the day, most of us can benefit from a little bit of extra flexibility,
Yeah.
tightness in the hips after sitting for 8 hours in front of a computer, right? So uh,
Yeah.
that's how it
Anything.
is. So yeah, it's just making a choice of like, I'll do a little bit of something, I'll do a little bit of movement, and then creating an environment where movement becomes your default.
Okay. So that ties into a question that's also come through then. Does motivation come from your mentality, or how do you develop that mentality to get that motivation or consistency? I mean, it can go up or down, but just the mental aspect of it, because I physically want to move, my mind is telling
Mhm.
me, but the body is just not connected. So how do you work on that mental side to be able to get that development from the questions that's coming in our chat?
That's a great question. So I usually employ 5 minute rule, and
Okay.
that's like start anything, whatever you're aiming to start it 5 minutes, right? Make a
Okay.
deal with yourself, right? Agree. I'm only gonna do it for 5 minutes, and that's between you and I. No
Mm-hmm.
one is gonna do something for 5 minutes and be like, I'm done. I'm done. I
You
timed
often
it.
go a little
That's
bit
it.
further. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you end up going past the time that you set up for yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
it works literally with anything. So I'm writing quite a bit right now. Again, material for the website, posts, social media posts, and so on. And I'm developing a couple of other programs. So sometimes it's hard to motivate myself to like sit down, put
Mm-hmm.
myself down, and focus on writing. And so again, I negotiate with myself 5 minutes, and then you get something at the end of the night or some kind of food reward. So
Okay.
it's a matter of again going and playing a bit of a negotiating game with yourself, but it always starts with 5 minutes. I'm
Start
just
with the
gonna do five
5 minutes.
minutes.
Hopefully that answers your question, K Jeffrey 123. Now leading into the whole aspect of nutrition and feeding these kids that we train, we're growing, and we're raising to become healthy. We talk about being physical. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
that physical and there isn't that much anything going on in your body to keep the body moving, it makes it hard. So one thing I wanted to know is from your perspective, from your expertise, your knowledge and experience, give us the pros and cons between these fruits and veggies. They're sugary, not sugary, good, frozen, fresh. What is it? Because most people say eat your veggies, eat your fruits. Okay, but what does that really mean for an athlete? What are the pros and cons in that? Hopefully there is no cons, but from your perspective.
Absolutely, and there is really no cons to eating vegetables because and fruits for that matter,
Mm-hmm.
because we need to remember that most of protein, most of sugar, most of fats, right? They start as a what? As
Yep.
vegetables, right? As something that grows out of ground. So there is really nothing bad that you can say for vegetables, whether again they're fresh or frozen. Fresh are obviously better. You're getting a lot of immediate nutrients, minerals, vitamins, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
The frozen, they do have a lower nutritional profile, but again, compare it with even meats, right? Yeah, you're getting higher protein, but you're not going to be getting as many vitamins as you're still getting from even
The
frozen
fresh.
vegetables.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
right, so no cons. With vegetables and fruits, we just need to understand. I know if your audience ever heard of so-called glycemic index and glycemic load, and those are the two concepts that I believe strongly is extremely important for people to understand, especially if they're raising an athlete or they are an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And glycemic index is essentially it's a chart or a system that gives us a better understanding how fast a certain glucose, certain sugar is going to be absorbed into our bloodstream and
Wow.
being available as energy for ourselves to use, right? So, for example, fruits are going to have generally a higher glycemic index, means that they're going to be able to be absorbed a lot faster, right? Now, it's a good thing, but it also could be a bad thing, okay? It's a good
Okay.
thing if you're a marathon runner and you're feeling like you're just absolutely running out of fuel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to have something that's going to boost up your sugar level immediately so you can keep on going,
Going the distance.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where Gatorade and sports drinks come in because they do have quite a bit of sugar in them, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
if you read the labels, it's almost as high as cola, right?
Wow.
Yeah, right. It has that much sugar, but there is a specific need for that.
Okay.
And at the same time, let's say again, if you are like a basketball player, if you are only playing, let's say, only the first quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to have a super high energy because what's going to happen, you're going to just absolutely go after every single ball. You're going to burn out, and
Yeah.
you're going to make yourself like lacking all the energy on the second, third, and fourth quarters, right?
Yeah.
So you run out of gas essentially. So yeah, that's
So
basically
how
where
do you
glycemic.
stagger that? For me, let's say, and it's great you use the basketball as an example. Depending
Mhm.
on what age the athlete is or the child is, they might not be the ones starting in the first quarter. They may not even come in towards the end, but you still want
Yep.
to keep the energy going. And
Hmm.
should we prepare them maybe 30 minutes before a game or an hour before a game? Like, what should they be sort of putting in their body in terms of even fluid to prepare them for the length of time that they may be on the court for maybe a minute or two, right? And we'll talk about the post game or post training after as well.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you're bringing in water because I would say water is actually more important than the nutrition. Obviously, again, we don't want to let them go on the court without any nutrition whatsoever
Okay.
because that's going to result in the person, in an athlete, either just gassing out early on,
Yeah.
or they're going to feel like regurgitating, potentially puking, right? It's
Yes.
too much, right? We can't expect a sports car, right, a high performance machine to operate on an empty gas tank. So we need to give athletes food. Now, generally, again, an hour and a half is a good time before the game to deliver, but it also becomes very personal, right? So some athletes, they cannot consume anything before the game.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's pre-game jitters or it's actually physiologically, they just cannot metabolize because maybe stress level jumps up and they can't, right? And then there are other athletes that are absolutely, if they haven't eaten, right, that
They can
hour and a
perform.
half, they can perform, right?
Yeah.
You see immediately their performance goes down out the window. So I would say again, in this way, the athlete is really the best gauge, right? It's easier for them to recognize what do they need. But again, for younger, like if the athlete is very young, like 7, 8, they may not have awareness yet, body awareness of what they actually need. So it's up to you as a parent to basically provide this and see how they're reacting and recognize
and test
that,
it out.
yeah, the games that they had, let's say, a good lunch and they slept well and they're doing this and that and they're performing exceptionally well, let's copy it. Let's replicate this. Let's move on and carry it forward. So this way, again, every time we're going for pre-game, this becomes our pre-game nutritional ritual.
That's a good point. There is a comment that says Gatorade is owned by Coca-Cola. So yes, of course, that explains the sugary part of it. And another question about, is there any good food that's for help with growing naturally? Any particular food you recommend? And I'm not sure what you mean by naturally in terms of height or size, but just any food that you can recommend for athletes that want to, grow in a healthy way.
Again, every athlete is, it comes down to a bigger question, right? So how do you eat well, right? Because again, being the best athlete, you're essentially looking at good quality food, good quality sleep, good quality recovery. Height, unfortunately, that's to a certain, yeah, it is a genetic thing. There, again, a bit of training that you can direct to improve this. Again, like hanging like a bar exercise, getting kids onto the bar, learning to pull up might cause a bit of increase in height, but it's still going to be a relatively insignificant in comparison to all the other impacts and genetics.
Okay.
Right?
So talk a little bit about understanding each player, each child that you have and their eating habits and how it impacts their game, whether it gives them energy or it drains them down before or after. Now, post game, post training, post practice, because it's still high intense energy that they're doing. They're burning a lot of calories, they're sweating. And for now, like I have one ready in practice 7 to 9, but you have school tomorrow. So 7 to 9, you're getting home maybe 9:30. You still have to be in bed by 10. What's the best thing in terms of being able to feed you to still replenish all that sweat and things that you killed off and still be able to continue to get that nutrient to grow? Like what are some of the things that we can do?
So I would say the full meal is still a best option because partially for what you mentioned, regardless of the time, they just consume, they just expended a massive amount of energy, like huge amounts of energy, right? We can basically say that, conservatively probably 1,000 calories per hour, most likely significantly more than that. But again, it depends on what kind of practice, what kind of game it is. But we can again average about 1,000 calories. So they should probably have a meal which is close to 1,000 calories, 700 to 1,000 calories, which is a full meal. Now, again, those that are not able to consume that much food or they feel that it's difficult before they go to sleep,
Mm-hmm.
I would say loading up their meal in carbs would be
Okay.
most beneficial. So carbs and proteins, and kind
Okay.
of excluding fats. And the reason for this is twofold. Number one, carbohydrates are helping us to recover, replenish all the carbs that we lost during the game itself, right?
Okay.
Because it's our main source of energy. And second one, protein is giving us an opportunity to begin to repair the musculature, right?
Okay.
So again, we
Okay.
don't want our athletes to lose muscle mass
No.
mid-season or during the season, because that their performance is going to start going down, and therefore again, carbs and protein becomes the two macro categories that we want to target in that
Okay.
post-workout, post-performance,
I like
post-practice
that.
meal.
I'll make it no, I'll go cook something quickly, good with a lot of carbs and some meat, chicken, beef,
Listen,
whatever.
if they want pasta, let them have pasta.
Okay, because that's his favorite. So okay.
And listen, the cool part is basically a high carbohydrate meal is also going to get them to increase their melatonin level. So
Okay.
they're going to be more likely to fall asleep quicker.
Okay. Wow. I'm so glad you're sharing this because it's always a struggle. It's like, okay, do you just get cereal or you just eat a granola bar? Do you just drink water? Like it's always, trying to make sure, and
Full
sometimes they're
meal.
like, it's okay or not, but it's great to feed them with the meal to get your body
Yeah.
going and understanding the calories that you're
Mm-hmm.
putting in there because they burn a lot. So they need to replenish it and balance it out to start the next day.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh my goodness, great. And another person, best carbs and best protein food to eat. Do you have any recommendations on which are the best carbs or protein food to eat?
Again, going back to my initial point about glycemic index. So best carbs are for what athlete? Okay. Because
Okay.
again, like let's say a wrestler, right? Simple carbs are going to be more beneficial for them, especially before a match, since
Mm-hmm.
they need explosive power. But simple carbs may not be, again, beneficial for an endurance athlete an hour and a half before they go into like an OCR race or a marathon. Right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it becomes more, again, athlete specific and sport specific. But generally, you can think like you want to go for slower glycemic index foods for endurance sports,
Mm-hmm.
and going for higher glycemic foods for shorter type of sports. Now, again, basketball, you want to have a combination of both, right? So you can have a salad, right? A green salad with maybe apple sliced up in there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have best of both worlds, and then again, berries sprinkled in that same salad, right?
Okay.
Uh,
That's
so it's a,
I'm making notes on this for myself because I'm not the athlete, but I could definitely need these proper nutrient as well too.
and
So I can think clearly when I'm telling them what to eat, right?
yeah, and it makes the salad a lot more interesting as
And
well, right?
yeah,
I've had clients that are complaining like, I'm so tired of eating greens. No, spice it up, make it fun, make it
add
interesting.
different things to it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Another question I want to find out from you is overall, from a parent's perspective, when we're trying to help these child make these nutritious decisions, we're fighting a battle of Gatorade commercials,
Hmm.
KFC commercials, like where one of the practices you get out, there's like a whole bunch of strip with all these fast food. And sometimes time for us to get home, like, I don't have time to do all this cooking. I want to make sure that you eat. So for the athletes that are watching or listening later, like, what are some things you can tell them for them to say, you know what, this is my body. I want to make decisions. And maybe they're not aware of. So hearing from an expertise perspective, give them some advice so that it's not just us telling them, be healthy, eat healthy, but hey, there is Coach Anton telling you because he's lived it, he knows it, he studies it, and he's got the proof for that.
Listen, athletes are going to hate me for this, but the best thing that I can recommend is get in the kitchen, right? See what your mom, see what your dad are cooking, how
Yes.
they're cooking. But I would say, again, the biggest advice that I can say is like family culture of food needs to change, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for you, as a mom, like it would be beneficial to just understand like what's a serving of protein, right? How much is one serving of protein? How much is one serving of salad? How much is one
Mm-hmm.
serving of pasta? And then that's the same knowledge that you're going to pass it on to them, because again, when you're aware of those things, right? Even
Yep.
if the athlete is not aware, when you're placing things, when you're plating meals on their plate, you're going to be able to say, okay, so they just had a huge game. Let them give them maybe 3 servings of pasta, right? So this way they can compensate for all the sugar that they just spent. But unless you know what the serving is, right? How are you going to do that?
Yep.
So generally it becomes like
just eating,
the full plate,
yeah,
the full plate,
true.
right? And
it's true.
So yeah, like it's teaching them, and again, if you can get athletes in the kitchen early on, right? Get them involved, get them to understand what actual food looks
how
like,
it looks like, how the cooking
and
is.
how it tastes.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, we have a tendency to stick with the best, with the most tasty things. So once they get used to your cooking, they generally wouldn't want to like just go. Now there is side benefit to educating athletes as well. Let's say again they travel, they grow up, they go to university, they maybe get scholarship, go to US or whatever other place. If they have a good food culture, if they have a best understanding of what nutrition is, even if they're eating fast food or they're eating at the restaurants, they're going to be able to make better decisions because they know what a good food looks like, right? Rather than, okay, well, I guess McDonald's is the first thing that's available and that's where I'm going to go, right? So it is a process, it is education, and again, I greatly believe and truly believe in education. So once you give people a good thing to taste and understand why you're doing certain things and how you arrive in that, it empowers them to continue doing that same thing. So once again, it's no longer a matter of motivation, that's a matter of habit, and habit is a powerful thing.
Build their habits at an early stage with them. And I think for us, when we end up getting the lockdown, a lot of us start getting the kids in the kitchen, cooking, so you can learn how to do it. She took a step, is like, come, let's do grocery shopping together so you can see what I'm picking. Then we can make the meal together. But as parents, you're just often like, no, let me finish this quickly and push them away. But it's a good concept. Bring them back in the kitchen.
And again, kind of going back to one of the points that you mentioned, like, when do I cook all of that? A bit of bulk cooking is never going to hurt anybody. So even for myself, like, it's only me and my girlfriend together. But I cooked a beef stew yesterday, and that's going to last us like 2, maybe 3 days easily. So prepping up in advance, like bigger portions. Again, certain things you can freeze. Salads, you can package them in smaller containers, stow them away, right? Like one meal servings. And this way, again, like, even the kids are going to know, like, I have something prepped in the fridge,
ready to
right?
go.
And this way, again, they're not going to be relying on, like, I need to get McDonald's because I know that there is nothing tasty in home.
But it's just the way the fast food chain, because no matter
food
where
culture.
you drive, you see it, and they spray the scent in the air, you just smell it, and it takes you in. So you're right, resistance and being more, I guess, practical and structure. I think is the key word.
That's again the like what I usually battle with people, especially like at the very beginning. I like my meals fresh. Okay. If your meal fresh, but now you just spent an extra 2 hours that you could have dedicated to your health in some other way, I would say I'm gonna trade it off for cooking it, twice a week, 3 times a week instead of every single day, right? But now I have, possibly 2 hours every single day that's opened up from me not having to cook, right? So let's say again, you cook 3 days a week, and you generally spend 2 hours. You just opened up another 4 days of the same 2 hours. You have an extra 8 hours to do everything else.
It's easy in the sense when it's the 2, but for us, it's just the fridge never closes. So that's what I was concerned, which is good. That means you're eating a lot. So that's why I wanted to bring you on, because I wanted to understand, they're active, you're moving, they're killing all these carbs. So how do you replenish in a healthy way for them to still be physically active, but internally good? And that's the key point that you're saying, don't be scared of salads. Don't be scared to go in the kitchen and see what's being cooked, and understand portion control, which is also a key point that you mentioned.
Yeah, and portion control, once again, it comes in from you. So once you as a parent, you're able to showcase that that's basically what's on my plate. Now, there is a trick to make it even easier. So if you're concerned that you yourself or your athletes are overeating, substitute large plates at home for smaller plates as your usual plate. So that's already by itself is going to restrict how much food you can have on your plate. And second, change big spoons, big forks to small spoons, small forks. So that's slowing down how fast the person is able to inhale all the food on their plate.
Oh, wow.
And that forces mastication, so you chew it a lot more, right? Because again, we know that the digestion of food starts in your mouth, not in your stomach or anywhere else. And again, if you break down carbohydrates, it just again accelerates the process of breakdown of fiber and so on. So as I said, I believe in structure change, right?
Yeah.
And therefore, again, if you want to have smaller portion, change the plate. There's no easier way.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, next cooking session, you're going to be there helping us how to cook it properly. I want to find out is what are some of the tools that both parents and coaches, just bringing coaches in there, can use to also support the athletes in making better food choices? Because for teams that do travel, and sometimes you have games outside of where you currently live. So it's not like I'm going to bring my whole Tupperware of what I cooked in a bowl. There's no microwave to warm it up, right? In between games, you have an hour or two to wait until the next one. But this is where coaches or managers or part of the team are coming in. It's a group thing. What are some things that they can also be aware to encourage healthy meal choices to make sure that everybody is replenishing properly?
Well, if it's a longer travel or if it's a all-day tournament, I would say every athlete should have 1 or 2 smoothies with them.
Okay.
So simple containers like this, or they're sealable containers. Again, if it's a even longer tournament, like a couple of days and on, it goes back to food culture. So again, if an athlete knows what's a good meal versus any meal, right? They're going to be looking for, a little bit of salad with some extra, maybe chicken breasts or something else to go on it. So educating early on. But in terms of, again, actual tools, I would say equipping your athlete with a really good water container or, liquid container, getting a good blender at home. So this way you can just, again, easily and blends well. I see a question, what type of smoothies, right? So depends on the sport, but generally you would have a liquid. So whether it's soy milk or almond milk, preferably unsweetened. If you do sweeten it, that would you would try to consume it either closer to the game or use it as sweetened as a post-game meal, right? So let's say again the game is done. You're picking up your athlete, and right in the car, they can basically drink that smoothie. So, liquid component. From there on, there needs to be some form of green. So whether it's again a mixture of like spinach, kale, one of those spring mixes.
Dark greens, okay.
So dark greens are fantastic as a handful of that, and then you would want to add. Again, depends when, but you might want to add a spoon of almond butter in there. That's giving a little extra caloric volume to it. And then toss in some chia seeds, hemp hearts. That's giving, once again, a little bit of fat, a little bit of fiber, a lot of nutrients in there. And then protein powder, right? So protein powder post-game. Before the game, I would actually either exclude or just again go with soy milk, which has a higher protein content than almond milk, and not add any other milk at all or no other protein.
Post retreatment game or post practice.
Again, we want to have more protein post game, because once again, like no matter how the muscles are getting damaged, so we want to get protein so we're able to start replenishing and recovering the muscle tissue.
Okay, wow. Oh my goodness. So hopefully that answers your question as well too, especially for the high athletes. There are always, travels, and we have these games or distance, and we're starting to open. So thankfully we can continue, and these tips and gems and information you're sharing comes in handy. Now, you did mention that you're building your website. You're putting a lot of information in there. What are some of the things that we can look forward to once it goes live?
Well, I am building a blog in there, so a lot of topics that even we covered today, like it will be up there. I'm a huge believer in, again, educating. So my mission is to create a library where, like, any topic, any question that might come up, I would have a reference point where I can direct the person.
Yeah.
And get them educated on that specific topic, so we can have a conversation rather than me lecturing.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
again, at the end of the day, there is nothing better that the person is able to recite or explain to me their
Yeah.
understanding of that specific topic. That's how we learn. That's how we learn through teaching. So again, if
Yeah.
we teach to someone else, we understand the concept. We have to understand the
We have
concept.
to understand. Yeah.
Um, and the second, so right now already metabolic reset, 7-day metabolic reset, that's already been prepared. Next thing I'm working on is mobility. So mobility specifically for office workers, for at-home office workers. So how to use lacrosse balls, how to
Yeah.
use foam rollers, because I've been seeing a lot of videos where foam rollers are used as a pizza dough roller, where a person is
For
just
real?
like rolling on it like crazy. That's not the point. You're manipulating fascia, and
Yeah.
fascia is a subdermal layer between the skin and muscle, and that requires constant pressure and stretching. So
Wow. So proper
that's
use of different equipment. So you're not
yeah.
just, and that's in a nutshell. You're not just only about athletes and stuff. You're also thinking about even parents and adults with a different
Well,
mindset and being maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Correct?
absolutely. Like it starts. My philosophy is one person, one athlete, one family at a time, right? Because like growing up as an athlete, if it wasn't for my parents, I probably wouldn't have been in as many sports. Number one, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have tasted so many different disciplines to give me a better appreciation of the movement culture. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's generally the same with every other parent, right? That
Yep.
has a teenage or kid athlete, right? You're encouraging them because you want them to experience the world in a different way. Now, a
Yes.
lot of habits, a lot of behaviors that they learn from you
Yep.
first and foremost, right? Before they even go to school. So if you are into sports, if you're enjoying the walks, well, guess what? Your kid is not going to grow up and hate walking,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Because they see you doing
It,
it, they're gonna
yeah,
emulate. Yep.
yeah, right. If you love camping, well, guess what? Your kid almost inevitably going to grow up loving outdoors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and therefore, again, like we can't expect people who are sedentary and docile to raise great athletes. And therefore, again, we need to empower people to move well and love that movement in every possible way.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Like, because I feel like you're actually speaking to me myself too, and get moving and getting active. I think the last time we talked, I was like, yeah, you're right. Just move. It's hard mentally to think of it, and then physically put it through 5 minutes. Like you said, just give yourself 5 minutes. So that's a key point. Like, if you say you want to, just do it for 5 minutes. That's it. At
Yep.
least you've done it. So rather than think it and not act on it, just try it for 5 minutes. And that
Yeah. If
most
you
often you'll be more than five, but for sure.
Yeah, if you're thinking for too long and you're not acting for more than 3 seconds, you're generally going to talk yourself out of any kind of movement.
Yeah, that's where the demotivation comes in, and it's like, oh, I was gonna walk, but what happened? Oh, damn. There's
Yeah.
always something that's gonna block you. That's for sure. If we overthink
Yep.
it, you're right. You're right. So we got to know a little bit about all the different sports that you played. Few two that you didn't play because it's a game, not a sport, which has been clarified, which is great. Um, Above it all, with all the different, fields of athleticism that you've participated in or your knowledge in and you're learning through it, which one of it has inspired you the most, or is it a combination of all that led to where you are?
I think it's really appreciation of every sport individually and athleticism overall, because like I always give an example, right? We generally don't remember plays that just happened. We remember plays that are like theatrical. They're
Mm-hmm.
above and beyond, right? So
Mm-hmm.
again, with a few clients, I bring in an example of a couple of Super Bowls back. There was a front flip to land the touchdown. And that doesn't happen if a person that's playing sport is just a football player,
No,
right? There needs to be some kind of other athletic skill that's behind that
that
because
led
you
to
think
it.
differently, right?
Yeah.
You're seeing a person in front of you and you don't necessarily think, oh, I'm going to do a front flip over him, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a football player, you're going to try to go through it or around him or fake it or, do something. So the mindset of an athlete is a powerful thing. And once you develop other skills in different other sports, you start thinking multidimensionally, right? You're
Yep.
thinking differently from just one discipline. You're thinking in other directions, and it
Yep.
just opens up your vision of the field. It opens up the vision of opportunities, how you can get the same thing done but in different possible way. And yeah, I think, like, again, my love of the sports, my love of trying something challenging and pushing through, and then coming out with knowledge from that experience is what really brought together. And again, my love even of obstacle course racing, like,
Wow.
I don't like long distance running, but
Okay. So,
but obstacles make it tolerable for me.
because you're
So
getting calls in
I'm
between.
looking forward to the next obstacle. So I would run whatever this click, 1.5 kilometers in between the obstacles to get to the next thing and experience that. So
Wow.
it's again enjoying it what you want to enjoy, right? Again,
Enjoy
in
what you
every
want to
sport
enjoy.
you can find stuff that you absolutely love and
Stick
the
with it.
others that you don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And final, second last question is there a specific life motto or saying that you use in terms of like mantras or anything like, because we're in January, a lot of people are setting yearly goals and I want to do this, I want to do that. Besides that, is there anything that you use, like something on your wall that gets you going every time you wake up to continue your week and, for the rest of the year?
I did set the goals. I have two journals, my goals journal and my gratitude journal. So those are, I write regularly. But again, in terms of saying, there is really no saying that specifically motivates me. It's more like my philosophy on what I do and how I do things, and that's
Mm-hmm.
basically, there is no perfect medication. So like uh,
You just
everybody's
do it.
looking everybody's looking for a pill, and to me there is no perfect pill. Like, you gotta have to put in your work,
Yep.
and if you're not working, someone else is going to be working, and they're definitely going to outwork you in their pursuit of their dream and their passion. So
Exactly.
you
Yep.
might as well do the same and be that person that just outworks everybody else.
Great. Now I'll leave the final words to you now. Where can everyone find you? How can they connect with you to get more help, especially on the healthy eating habits that we can help to, understand what a calorie is and make sure that we give it the right portion, not too much, not too little, and say, Coach Anton, help me out. I want to help my athlete. I want to understand it so I can help them. So where are you located, emails, social media, everything. Spill it out so they know how to reach out to you.
Awesome. I would say Instagram is my best place. So Fit Coach Anton is tagline. If you have specific questions for your situation, I would say my email would be absolutely best, and that's Anton at absoluteperformancefitness.com.
Okay.
I do have a Facebook page, so again, you can follow me there. But that's the best ways to get in touch with me. And once the website is on, all the library of information is going to go in there. It's going to take me some time to fill in, the library, but it is going to be growing. So if you have specific questions, send it my way. I'll start working on those before anything else, and I can answer them as
Great.
part of
I
my
just put
library.
the your Instagram handle there. So for anybody that's watching it, it's fitcoach_Anton, and you can reach him. He's available via even DMs. He'll respond.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, register. You also have the link on your page with the metabolic
Metabolic reset.
resets, which is great information too. So it's really good to start off that conversation because we all want them to be healthy, right?
Yeah.
Especially when they're burning so many calories and we're losing our voice, but they're doing it on their physically. So that makes it easier. I wanted to say thank you so much. Definitely learned a lot as always. We're going to have to do this again because it's a great topic, especially in this new year and with all the pandemic pandemic that's going on, all our eating habits has changed, or our physical activity has changed. So it's good to get a lot of expertise in making sure that not just we're taking care of them, we're also finding ways to take care of ourselves and get the, the information that we can do to make that day-to-day life a lot easier. Anybody else have any questions, please reach out to Coach Anton. He'll be happy to support you. And again, last word to you before I say bye, because I try not to talk too much.
I would say aim for action, right? Use that five-minute rule to negotiate with yourself, and whatever you're setting your mind to, just get to it, right? There is nothing worse than unrealized dreams.
We'll leave it right there. Thank you so much.
Most
Have a good
welcome.
rest of your evening. Thanks for your patience. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.